So what's up, Outcast? Your host, KSDTV here, and I need to tell you about something absolutely insane that just happened in the indie JRPG world. A game called Runa, that I covered this game a year ago, completely shattered Kickstarter expectations in a way that most developers could really only dream of. So we're here to talk about how a quote-unquote $50,000 funding goal got completely destroyed and surpassed within just 16 hours of the game going into Kickstarter. 16 whole hours. That's crazy to think about it, right? So here's the thing, right? Most indie JRPGs on Kickstarter struggle to even reach their initial funding goals, right? So the market is saturated, the competition is fierce, people get into backing like an unknown project is incredibly difficult, especially after what happened to Radiant, our good friends over at Studio Camellia, Radiant Echoes Alzara, right? But Runa did not just reach its goal, right? It absolutely demolished it in less than almost a day. And the craziest part about it, right? This is exactly the kind of hidden gem that proves there's still massive hunger for quality JRPGs in 2025. But before we dive into why this campaign exploded, let me tell you what Runa actually is, just for some of my peeps who are new to the channel and not familiar with Runa, because this game is honestly hitting all the right notes for JRPG fans like us. Runa is being developed as a turn-based fantasy JRPG that takes inspiration from absolute legends like Final Fantasy X, Persona, and Xenoblade Chronicles, and the developers are calling it a sci-fi fantasy adventure. And honestly alone, like when I covered this game a year ago, that combination, as soon as I heard those three, I'm like, holy shit, Batman, I need that. So I happily covered it, and that game looks amazing. So moving forward is, the game is set in a world called Akasha, right? You're dealing with the consequences of a lost civilization's technology known as the Runas. It's got the perfect blend of fantasy, sci-fi elements that made games like Xenogears and Chrono Trigger and Chronicles, like, you know, made all of these games just so memorable. But really sets Runa apart is how it combined those classic turn-based combat with modern social simulation features. You're not just fighting monsters and saving the world like most games are. You've got a full social link system with 15 romanceable characters, base building mechanics, farming minigames, open world exploration, well, semi-open world exploration. It's basically like someone took the best parts of like Persona social elements, which is it's a very fire system in itself, Stardew Valley's life sim aspects, and just classic Final Fantasy combat. Then you just blend it into something that just feels kind of like nostalgic and fresh at the same time. But now let's talk about why this Kickstarter campaign has been such a phenomenon. Runa launched their campaign in April 2024 with a goal of $50,000, 50 big ones, 50 bones, right? That's actually just pretty reasonable in a sense. It seems low, but I think because it's an indie JRPG, just maybe it should be enough. Granted, for most game development, I think it takes a lot more money for this, but it's essentially, I believe, is enough to cover developmental costs and just polish without being overly ambitious. I think that's why they kept it a $50,000 goal, because theoretically this is just an indie team doing this. So they're like, they were just covering just cost of development, right? But what happened next was absolutely unprecedented, right? Within 16 hours, not 16 days, not 16 weeks, 16 whole hours, they had actually completely funded their project. And that kind of rapid success is almost unheard of in the indie gaming spaces. I haven't heard of it in a sense. I'm like, I didn't know people can just post that shit and you're like, oh man, you already funded. Congratulations. And I saw this like on their Twitter page and I was like, dude, there's no way. So I made a video. But when you come to like JRPGs, which typically have more niche audiences, which that's the crazy part about it all. And JRPGs in itself is a niche audience, and you have people like Square Enix who is trying their hardest to try to make JRPGs more mainstream, but it's niche, and let's call a spade, it is a niche audience. But this isn't about just people throwing money at a pretty trailer either. The engagement from the community has been incredible, just by looking through the Twitter, looking at many different YouTubers who covered it, looking at all the backers who've been talking on their overall Kickstarter page. They are just genuinely excited about the game's potential. And then you can see that they're sharing their very own like JRPG memories, providing detailed feedback of what that the developers actually incorporating into their plans. And honestly, what's really impressive is that the success came from organic excitement. They did not have a massive marketing budget, no celebrity endorsements, just a well-crafted game concept that just resonated very well with JRPG fans who's been waiting for something exactly like this. The next big question is, what made Runa so successful? When so many other indie JRPGs struggle to find their audience, I think there are quite several key factors at play here. First and foremost, timing. Timing is everything. The JRPG market has been hungry for something that feels both nostalgic and innovative. We've seen some great JRPGs in recent years, but many of them either lean too heavily into nostalgia without bringing anything new, or they innovate so much that they lose what made classic JRPGs special. Runa seems to have found that perfect sweet spot. Second, the developers clearly understand their audience. They're not trying to appeal to everyone. They're just making a game specifically for JRPG fans who just want deep storytelling, some good combat, meaningful character relationships, and just that sense of living in a very rich, detailed world. And then the social simulation elements aren't just tacked on, they're integrated into your entire core experience of playing the game. And third, and last but not least, the presentation. Presentation matters huge. The Kickstarter campaign itself was professionally done, had clear explanations of gameplay mechanics, beautiful artwork, realistic developmental timelines. Too many indie game Kickstarters promise the world without showing they have the skills to deliver. Runa's team demonstrated competence and vision from day one. Now, to go a little bit further into just the gameplay, some of the stuff you'll probably be seeing on screen, let's break down what actually makes Runa special just from the gameplay perspective, because this is where the game starts to really shine. The combat system is turn-based, which immediately appeals to just classic JRPG fans. It's not just, basic tack and heal, because the social link systems with 15 romantic characters means you're building meaningful relationships that actually impact your overall gameplay experience. It's not just a dating sim element thrown in for the sake of it. These relationships actually affect the combat and certain story outcomes, and as well as the progression of your game. So it's not just your simple just turn-based. It has a lot more to go into it, especially with the characters very, very similar to the games that it took inspiration from. And as well as you got the base building and of course the farming elements. Add that life sim layer that games like Stardew Valley have proven people absolutely love. But instead of being separate from the main adventure, these activities tie directly into your JRPG progression. Being able to grow ingredients for crafting, building facilities that provide gameplay benefits, and just creating a home base that just feels truly yours. So what does this exactly mean, right? Runa's success represents something really important for their indie JRPG scene. It proves that there's still massive demand for well-crafted JRPGs that respect the genre's roots while also embracing modern design sensibilities. This is crazy to think that just a few days ago, that project Azura Radiant Echoes has shut down with $300,000 of an indie dream has just vanished right away. It's crazy to even think when bad events like this happen in the gaming industry, good things like Runa can happen and hopefully be the true beacon of light for a lot more Kickstarter projects and indie devs looking to bring their dream and passion forth into the world. If you want to know more about Radiant Echoes scam, then I recommend checking the video at the card right here or in the top right hand corner. But let me know what you guys think about Runa. Are you excited? Do you want to track it out? The backing is done. The game should release as of next year in November 2026. So we definitely have a release date and the year. So definitely within this next the last few bits of 2025, we get more information. Hopefully we get a playable demo sometimes at the beginning of 2026, and of course, you know, your boy will be there to be able to check it out. But as always, Outcasts, I need you guys to stay safe out there, and it's been your host KSD TV signing out. Peace.